Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our daily NBA predictions for Tuesday, January 14th. We've got 7 games today in the association, headlined by the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers, their rematch of Sunday, where the Pacers were able to go to Cleveland and take down the Cavs, even with Tyrese Halliburton going down with injury. Now, Tyrese is doubtful for this basketball game, so likely no Halliburton tonight for Indiana, so they'll look to try to make it 2 in a row, essentially, without Halliburton in the lineup. We will see if they can get that done in a minute. I did call it the other day, by the way. Indiana's taken 1 of 2 at least from Cleveland. Now they look for the sweep, and a Pacers team, by the way, that still has not lost yet in 2025. And folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily NBA best bets and college basketball best bets here on the channel. It helps out the channel a lot if you just hit that subscribe button down below for more. Again, earlier today we posted our college basketball best bets, so go check that one out if you haven't yet. And also earlier in the week we posted our UFC 311 predictions from the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. In the main event, Islam Makhachev, Arman Sarukian. Co-main event, Merab Dvalishvili, Umar Nurmagomedov. We predicted all 14 fights on that card, on Sunday, so make sure to watch that video down in the description down below. All right. On to the first of our 7 predictions today in the NBA. And yes, we're starting in Indianapolis, Indiana at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse on TNT. Pacers, Cavs, give me Indiana. Don't care Tyrese is playing. Well, I do. I think they'd have a much better chance of winning with Tyrese in the lineup. But I do feel like it's still a game where Indiana can get it done without Halliburton. You want the safe play in this game? Sure. Just take Indiana plus 7.5. That's the real safe. That feels like the really safe option. You just go plus 7.5 Indiana. I think they cover that fairly easily. And honestly today, guys, I don't usually say this about the NBA because, this is kind of our thing every day with the college basketball best bets. If you don't watch our videos daily there, go make sure to check us out for that as well. But that's kind of my thing with college basketball every day. It's, you know what? I'm hunting value. I find 5 best bets every day for college basketball, and that's what we're going to do later in the year in the spring when baseball starts daily with the MLB. But we're always hunting value. We're trying to find spots. For the NBA, obviously, we predict every single game. But today, man, there's a lot of value throughout the association. And this is one of the ones I do like, regardless of if you like plus 7.5 Indiana or you like Indiana money line at plus 240, that's fine. I do think Indiana gets the second game here against Cleveland. Guys, the Pacers do have the style to beat the Cavs. You run with them and you try to just outshoot them. And obviously Cleveland did have an off night the other night in Cleveland, but the Cavs only scored 93, Indiana with a huge second half comeback, again, without Halliburton. Again, I would not expect Halliburton to play this basketball game, and the Pacers will only get better when Halliburton is back in the lineup, but for a couple nights, sure, Andrew Nembhard can take over, and Nembhard can be the starting point guard. For certain spots, I don't feel horrible in, needing Nembhard to have a big night, and ultimately, that's what I think happens in this basketball game. Now, no Aaron Nesmith, no Tyrese Halliburton likely, and that's okay. And that's really okay. I think Indiana will be fine. Nesmith is coming back soon, by the way, thankfully. So Nesmith is an added depth that Indiana will get. But guys, the Pacers are 22-18. This is a team at one point in the season that was 9-14. We've been waiting for them to finally turn it around, and obviously Indiana's done just that. I mean, really, I think Cleveland's getting them at the wrong time here, and we've seen this before this year, where Cleveland, all right, they go on a big winning streak. They're winning big games just like they just did a couple days ago. They beat the they beat the OKC Thunder in a big game. They lose early in the year to Atlanta the first game. They get them at home. Then they go to Atlanta. They lose again. I think history repeats itself. They lose the first game to Indiana. Now they got to go to the Pacers just 6 hours west of Cleveland. And I think the Pacers get them. Give me the Indiana Pacers at home. You can take them at plus money in the money line. You can take plus 7.5, whatever floats your boat. Give me the Indiana Pacers at home without Tyrese Halliburton. I think the Pacers win it on TNT on national television. Let's go on to our next game here in the NBA. You know what I'm going to say here. We love the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Best player in the association, and it's not even close. Philadelphia, what a mess. What a mess the Philadelphia 76ers are. So, Joel Embiid is not playing tonight. Joel sees that there is a moderately difficult team on the schedule, and he's not playing. No, I'm joking. Joel has not played in a while, so he's not played in about 10 days. No Embiid, no Andre Drummond, no Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin questionable, no KJ Martin. What does that leave the 76ers? Gershon Yabusele is the only big, really, on this entire team. Paul George will have to play some 5. I kid you not, legitimately. No Embiid, no Drummond. Yes, there will be spots in this game where Paul George will have to play the 5. But honestly, Indiana's not the biggest team. They really have one center. It's Isaiah Hartenstein. Jalen Williams is a 4 who they've converted to a 5. Not Santa Clara University Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams with the Jalyin. They're both, they're both good players, but Jalen with an L-E, excuse me, is an all-star. And they're both, Shea's number 1 Glazers, which is fine, because who's not? But again, in spots, this will make it fine for OKC in this game, because this is where they will struggle against really good teams. And now Philadelphia is not one of these really good teams, but where OKC does struggle, and this is where they struggled in the Cavs game, they couldn't stop Mobley and Jared Allen once Isaiah Hartenstein, A, got into foul trouble, or B, was just off the court because he had to, take time off, obviously, because he can't play the entire game. That's where they're going to be much better in the postseason, which had homegrown, but in a game like this, OKC will really be able to excel because Philly's not going to be able to kill them down low. If Embiid were to play, that's a spot where, Joel can have a big night against this Thunder team, because once Hartenstein hits the bench, Hartenstein's been playing great basketball this season, by the way. But once he hits the bench, oh crap, they're kind of screwed, because now Jalen Williams has to play. They have to figure out, all right, who's going to move to the 5? Both Jalen Williams legitimately might have to play the 5. Kendrick Williams off the bench, who is very undersized as well. But a game like this, the Thunder are absolutely fine, and they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, by the way, had his worst shooting night in his career last game. In his entire career, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has his worst shooting game against the Washington Wizards. The Thunder still in the game by 40 points, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still scores 27 points. If that's not MVP stuff, I don't know what is. The guy shoots 5 for 17. He still gets to the rim 17 times with free throws, and he scores 27 points. Come on now. You can call it foul baiting. I get that. You can. But the guy finds ways to win. He can't get it done shooting. His shot's not hitting. All right, I'm going to drive. I'm going to force them to foul me. I'm going to force them to put me at the line. That's what winners do. And I get it. They're playing the Wizards. But still, that's what winners do. And that's what the best player in the NBA does. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, best player in the National Basketball Association. He'll push the Thunder to a victory here. 33-6 after the victory tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. Give me OKC. Hunting for some more value. Let's do it. Plus 135 at home for the Atlanta Hawks. Sign me up. They have not played in a while. This is a team who has not played it since that first Phoenix game. Now. If Trae Young doesn't play this basketball game, all right, I don't like it anymore. Jalen Johnson's still injured, which sucks. Bogdanovic questionable for this game, and yes, Trae Young questionable this game for the Atlanta Hawks with both an illness and an Achilles injury. So I'd wait to bet this game, even though this is one of the games where I do like the value. Again, we get the Hawks at home with plus money against this Phoenix team, where I'll get to Phoenix in a second. Sure, they've been winning recently, but let's talk about who they've been winning against. Anyways, it's just dependent on Trae Young. Because if Trae doesn't play, all right, this team goes from, Trae at point to Dyson Daniels probably takes the starting point guard role. And that means Garrison Matthews has to play the 2. With no Jalen Johnson and Trae Young, again, Atlanta can still win. Would I trust them to win? No. For Phoenix, though, right? Atlanta's 19-19. They had their game against the Rockets postponed due to snow. So this team has not played since that last Phoenix game, that came on Thursday, January 9th. So it's been 5 days since Atlanta has played a game. Now, for the Suns, okay, Grayson Allen's probable for this game. Nurkic is not even traveling with the team, but Nurkic don't even really play no more. Let's just be honest. Nurk doesn't really get minutes. He's lost his job. I'm serious. Nurkic, he played 20 minutes in the Charlotte game. That's great. But really, Oso, I think, who had a very good game against Charlotte the other night, I think Oso's low-key the next guy up for Phoenix. I mean, Oso had a big night. Had some really big spots down low. Mason Plumlee's obviously the starter, but Oso in that game dropped a career high 10 points. I don't know if that's his career high. I think it is, actually. It might be. He averages 4 points a game. I don't know. Not a horrible guy for this Phoenix team, right? Phoenix, again, led by Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. Obviously, with Beal and Nurk heading to the bench, they are starting Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Ryan Dunn, Kevin Durant, and Mason Plumlee. You may think to yourself, who the hell is Ryan Dunn? You would be kind of, okay in asking that question, because Ryan Dunn does average 7 points a game. But hell, he's shooting the ball at a pretty effective rate right now. He hits the shots that he aimed to hit. Scores 11 points last night. A couple nights ago on Sunday night against the Hornets. Scores 10 against the Jazz. That'll play. That'll play for 3, who, doesn't really need a score. Now you get, again, that presence of Beal off the bench. But regardless of that, if Trae Young plays this basketball game, the Hawks will win. They will. If Trae plays, the Hawks are at home. Yeah, Phoenix is winning, but they've won 4 or 5 against The Sixers, okay, they get Atlanta at home. All right, they win. Utah at home, Charlotte at home, right? Like, I think Atlanta, again, if they get Trae Young to play, I think they win. Again, big F, so that's why I'd wait for this one. Sure, we might lose some value with the line, but still, with Trae Young playing, this game goes from, again, Atlanta, what? Plus 135 to Atlanta, probably, you know, plus 100. So I'm willing to sacrifice the 30 cents on this. I really am. Because if it's plus 135 without Trae Young, again, if Trae Young doesn't play, this line probably goes to like plus 155, right? Plus 160. So I'm willing to sacrifice and wait. You could take the risk and go plus 135, but with both an Achilles and an illness for Trae, I'm not willing to wait until there's an official prognosis on if he's going to play or not. So I'll wait, but if Trae plays, still love the value with Atlanta, even up to plus 100. And hell, even like minus 110, I'll go as far as saying minus 120. I'd still take Atlanta because I like Trae Young that much. Next up, another spot I really like. The Chicago Bulls at home against the New Orleans Pelicans, okay? I get it. It's a little bit difficult picking Chicago sometimes because they are kind of random because all their games are so high scoring, and now New Orleans is fully healthy, obviously, without Brandon Ingram. Ingram's obviously still out, but now, again, you write Murray's playing still, obviously. CJ McCollum's playing really good ball in 2025, and Zion Williamson is playing as well. Regardless, guys, this is still the Pelicans, and they're going on the road against the Bulls. The Bulls are going to score. Can the Pelicans keep up? That's the question. That's the question you got to ask. You got to ask, right? You know Trey Murphy's going to score. You know CJ McCollum's going to score, but they are on the tail end of a road trip. They've been on the road for about 5 days now. Sure, they had a very close game where they almost beat the Celtics. The Celtics obviously pulled away on Sunday, but they got that close. You got one more game, and you close out your road trip. Then you don't got to go back on the road for over 10 days after this. I don't know. I just feel like this is a spot Chicago can win. Again, end of the road trip for New Orleans. And it's a type of game against the Bulls where you're going to have to be fresh. You're going to have to be willing to, again, win a very, prolonged basketball game against a team that's going to stay in your face and that is going to score all night long. Kobe White is the one injury to Chicago tonight. He is questionable. These other guys, Desumu's questionable. Torrey Craig's out for an extended period of time. But again, the key pieces that we need for the Bulls to win, we're talking about Josh Giddey. We're talking about Zach LaVine, Patrick Williams, Vucevic, Lonzo Ball off the bench. These guys are playing. So again, it's a normal night in the office for Chicago here. We just need these Bulls to outscore the Pels, which I know the Pelicans have their guys back, but they're still an 8-win basketball team. Yeah, they've been winning more recently. They picked up a huge win at Philadelphia the other night, but again, the Sixers are a damn mess. So I think we're okay here. Zach LaVine again averaging 24 points a night. I like Giddey, I like Vucevic, I like Patrick Williams, I like Kobe White, I like Lonzo Ball. There's a lot of guys I like on this Bulls team. They just don't play the best defense, and they've just ran into some tough teams recently. Again, they've won 3 of 5. Their wins: Knicks, Spurs just beat the Lakers, Wizards, who cares? But their losses: Kings haven't lost a game in 2025. Pacers haven't lost a game in 2025. So in the last 5, these aren't bad results at all for Chicago. I don't mind the Bulls at all in this spot. We're going to swerve and bend that corner and take the Chicago Bulls to win at home, -1.5, -125. I like Chicago at home here against the New Orleans Pelicans. All right, so another game where I like the value. Milwaukee Bucks at home against the Sacramento Kings. I don't mind it at all, guys. The Kings aren't going to remain perfect in 2025. They're going to be nothing close to that. Again, Sacramento, yeah, they've found themselves now at 20-19. They're moving their way up the Western Conference, and maybe now, they don't have to sell everyone. De'Aaron doesn't have to get traded. Domantas Sabonis doesn't have to get traded. Maybe they can keep the band together so they can just lose in the play-in again. But whatever, they're going to find a way to outlast the Warriors because the Warriors aren't going anywhere. And then maybe, I don't know, I guess, probably Phoenix. No, San Antonio probably falls out. Probably. I don't know, man. The Lakers. 13 points in the fourth quarter. 13 points. Really? It's just disgusting. It's ridiculous. I like Milwaukee in this spot. Guys, again, Sacramento, this this needs to end, okay? Stop. This team was 13-19. I was like, you know what? Yes. Just gonna trade everybody. Done with it. De'Aaron Fox can be on the Magic. Sabonis can go to a good team this year. Now they're just going to stay mediocre. They're doing this little push so they don't trade anybody, and they're just going to lose again in the play-in. Man. Now they return home after this. They've survived the road trip to do this, but good for Sacramento. They're going to go home on Thursday, play the Rockets. I think they lose that. No, I want to believe in the Kings. I think they can win that game. Wizards at home should win. Warriors at home should win. They should sweep their homestand coming up. 3 straight games, they should sweep it. So good for Sacramento, but this is going to be the end of this win streak right now. They've not lost since December 28th to the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, they were 13-19 at one point. They're now 20-19. Ridiculous. Milwaukee's going to get them here, though. As long as the Bucks are playing other guys today, they'll be fine. Giannis is probable. That means Giannis is playing. Chris Middleton's the only guy out with ankle injuries. That's fine. Get well soon, but as long as Dame and Antetokounmpo are playing, we should be fine here. The Bucks are back home after being on the road for a little bit. Did lose a game to New York. Just lost to the Pistons the other night, which, we told you to take Pistons spread. I didn't think they were going to win, I'll be honest with you, but good for Detroit. I think Milwaukee can win at home here against Sacramento. Again, we just need a pretty big night out of Giannis, who is, putting up very good numbers this season, 31-12. Shout out to him. And Dame, obviously, averaging 25 points a night as well. And again, the bench has been a lot better for Milwaukee as the season has gone on. We're talking about Bobby Portis. We're talking about Brook Lopez. Not the bench, but just the supporting cast, which, honestly, everyone but Giannis and Dame is just the bench. And it's just, who are we going to plug in and play today in the starting lineup? We're talking about Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, Gary Trent, AJ Green, Pat Connaughton, who's been hurt, but Torian Prince, Andre Jackson, like all these other guys on Milwaukee. Sacramento's been better. They have. Really, they have been better. De'Aaron's back. Yeah, De'Aaron was back last game. Blake Monk's the one who's questionable today. We'll see if he plays the groin injury here in Milwaukee. No, Sacramento's good. I'm not going to hate today. I'm not going to hate on Sacramento. De'Aaron's great. Keegan's a great shooter. Sabonis is good. Trey Lyles randomly career resurgence off the bench. Don't understand it. Guys just come to Sacramento and they can randomly shoot now. They're still not going nowhere in the playoffs, so give me Milwaukee. I like the Bucks at home. Milwaukee -2.5, -130 in the money line. Give me the Bucks at home here against the Sacramento Kings. Let's move on to Dallas, Texas. It is the second half of the doubleheader between the Denver Nuggets and the Dallas Mavericks. It's very similar to what the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers are doing right now. The Nuggets and the Mavs are doing the same exact thing. The Nuggets won the first game. What do we think is going to happen here? Dallas's Cinderella run is over. With no Kyrie and Luka. Maybe Kyrie plays this game, which is great, but still, even if Kyrie does play, first game back after the back injury, he's been upgraded to questionable. That's great. I don't think Kyrie by himself is able to win this game for Dallas. I don't think so. Again, I think they'll be closer, but ultimately, I still think Denver is able to cover this 4.5 point line and win the game. They won the first game by 11 points, and it wasn't even a huge night for Jokic, which again, I can't believe I'm saying this. An 18 rebound and 9 assist night for Nikola Jokic is not a huge night. Russell Westbrook actually led them in points with 21. Jokic again posted 19, 18, and 9, which is an off night. But here's the thing, again, Jokic is not going to continue to post that low of lines. They're starting Russell Westbrook now, which is kind of crazy as Aaron Gordon has moved to the bench now. At least that's what they did last game. They put Gordon on the bench and started both Murray Brown and Russ, and then started obviously MPJ and Jokic, which is an interesting lineup, but I think it's a fine lineup, especially with Gordon still coming back off that injury. We will see what they do tonight. The Nuggets have a couple guys in the injury report, but they're all expected to play. We're talking about Julian Strawther off the bench, who's been great this season, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon. I'd expect, again, all 4 of those guys to play. I'm just curious to see what Mike Malone puts out there tonight on the starting lineup for the Nuggets. Is it Russ again, or is it, again, Aaron Gordon back in the starting lineup? Regardless, I like Denver in this spot. We just saw them win the first game in Dallas. Second spot here. Again, even if Kyrie does play, I don't think Kyrie alone is going to be enough to will the Mavericks to victory. Denver is just the better basketball team, and Jokic, again, has just been that dominant all year long. So give me Denver on the road here in Dallas to win the ball game and to cover the 4.5 points as well. As we go on to our final game of the video, we go to the Moda Center here in Portland, Oregon, up in the Pacific Northwest, the 7 o'clock game between the Portland Trailblazers and the Brooklyn Nets. I can't believe I'm picking Portland here, but I actually am, I'm going to pick Portland. Brooklyn just played a very competitive, I wouldn't say it's a great game. It was kind of a bad overtime game because there's just so many missed shots. But Isaiah Collier with the game winner the other night for the Utah Jazz against the Brooklyn Nets in Salt Lake City. And Brooklyn is still dealing with all of these injuries. It's an overtime game, by the way, that Utah did win. But Yeah, Brooklyn's still got all these injuries, regardless of if these guys play or not. So Trenton Watford and Bojan Bogdanovic have both been, ruled out. Cameron Johnson's questionable, big part of this team. Nick Claxton's questionable with hamstring tightness. D'Angelo Russell's questionable with the shin injury, and Ben Simmons is questionable with knee and back injuries. So I don't know who's playing this game, and obviously Cam Thomas is still out, who is the focal point of this Brooklyn Nets team. All those injuries, I don't really like the Nets in this spot. Again, they've been on this road trip for a while. They go to Portland, and I get it. The Blazers have not been great. They're dealing with some injuries of their own right. Robert Williams questionable, Delano Banton questionable, Denny Adjiva questionable, and Jeremy Grant is still out with that face injury. But I am going to take Portland. I know they're coming off back-to-back losses to the Mavs and to the Heat, but they have the better players in the court, I think, personally, especially, again, with the question marks around Johnson and obviously no Cam Thomas and D'Angelo Russell. Portland, we know, still has their scorers in the court. We're talking about Anfernee Simons. We're talking about Shaedon Sharpe. These guys are still playing for Portland. And again, I think the best players in the court are on the side of the Trailblazers. Guys, I'd stay away from this game. Don't bet -6.5 Portland. Just don't do it. Don't love the spot at all. You don't know what's going to be happening with Brooklyn, and Portland's still a mystery in their own right? I mean, Portland's 13-25, and Brooklyn's 13-26. But what we do have going our way for the Trailblazers in the spot is that they're at home at the games in Oregon, and Brooklyn's been on the road for a little bit as well. Again, it's a very far trip for Brooklyn at this point. Again, going from Brooklyn to Portland, they're playing on West Coast timing, right? Brooklyn's just coming off that loss to Utah. This team's going to be on the road for a while, man. They got Portland, Clippers, Lakers, and then in OKC on the 19th. My goodness, this team's on the road for a while. Again, I like the Trailblazers a lot in this spot. No, I don't like the Trailblazers a lot in this spot. I like the Trailblazers to win and to cover. I don't love them in this spot. They should be able to do it, but again, with the question marks around Brooklyn, who knows? I'd expect Portland to cover. There are better games, though, that we mentioned earlier. Milwaukee, Indiana, Atlanta, potentially Chicago. Those are the better spots we like today. But sure, again, Portland -6.5 should be the play for this game as well. So, folks, thank y'all for watching our NBA predictions here on Tuesday, January 14th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to comment. If you do disagree with any of the picks, folks, thank y'all for watching. And Mamba forever.